Ohio State fans have to address the elephant in the room. What the hell is going on with Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith? Carnell Tate misses his second straight game. And right before the game, reports started coming out that Jeremiah Smith was also questionable for the game. We then saw him go out, warm up and everything. But after only about a quarter and a half, Jeremiah's day was done. And the clips we got from the sideline, him walking back to the locker room at the end of the game, were not great. Just call it for how it is. He was seen walking very gingerly on the sideline, getting support from some people. Who knows what it is? It could be a variety of things. He could have tweaked his ankle. A lot of times when you tweak your ankle, you run on it for a while. You sit there and you let it get tight. It can kind of cause some issues with walking. It's tight. It just painful. Not that there's anything crazy wrong with it, but everything just gets tight and it just becomes harder to walk on it. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It could have been a groin injury. I don't know. Kind of the way he was walking almost looked like he had something shoved up his ass a little bit. I don't know if that's a groin issue. I don't know if it's an ankle issue. I really honestly don't know. And after the game, Ryan Day downplayed a lot of the questions that came from the media about their availability and what their outlook looked for the rest of the season. He basically brushed over it and called it essentially a nothing burger, and that he expects both of them to be back very shortly and does not see this as a long-term issue whatsoever. But my opinion, on the other hand, I ain't buying anything he is saying. We have seen Ryan Day do this in the 7 years he's been Ohio State's head coach. He keeps a lot of injuries to his chest. He's not very honest, not very open about them, and you really can't take anything that he says as truth at all. I think it was 3 years ago, 2022, Mayan Williams, I could be wrong here, so don't come for my head if I'm calling out the wrong guy or not. The situation isn't 100% correct. But if I remember right, I think it was Mayan Williams, and he had a little bit of a lingering injury going on, and next thing you know, kind of downplayed it, and here Mayan Williams has a fucking torn ACL, and he's out for the year. So that just goes to show, you have to take a lot of what Ryan says when it comes to injuries with a grain of salt. So if I had to give this a scale of 1 to 10, how worried I am, I'm at an 8. I'm pretty worried right now. I don't want to sit here and freak out because there's time to get them back and healthy. There's still 13 days before the Michigan game. But I'm starting to become pretty worried. I can't lie. If you don't have Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate as you go through the rest of the season, everything that we've been expecting this whole entire season isn't going to happen. Mylan Graham, Quincy Porter, Bryson Rogers, very good players. Very good players. Probably would start on most other college football teams. But they're not Jeremiah Smith and they're not Carnell Tate. They are not 2 first-round draft picks right now. So yeah, I'm giving it an 8. I'm pretty worried. Whenever it comes to these types of situations, you got to trust what you know. And what I know is I'm trusting my eyes. Jeremiah Smith did not look very good walking on the sideline and walking back into the locker room last night. Call it for how it is. It didn't look great. Aside from that, Ryan Day spews bullshit about injuries. So you can't trust anything that comes out of his mouth. So that's why I'm putting it as an 8. It's not alarming, but it's getting close to there. If this was week 6, I'm not as worried about it. But this is probably week 11, whatever it is. But we're going into our 11th game. We've played 10 games. If this is at the middle of the season, I'm not as worried about it because we can figure it out. We got time before we play Michigan, a game that we must win. We have time before we get to the postseason. But now you're kind of in a bad spot. You're right in the middle of November. Your biggest rival is coming up in 13 days that you haven't been able to beat in 4 years, and you got to fucking beat them at some point. And your best 2 players are limping around on the sideline and not playing right now. It's not great. Not great. I can't lie. And you can call me a Debbie Downer. You can call me a hater. You can call me, I don't fucking care. But I'm just telling you these are my opinions, and I'm trusting what I see with my 2 eyes and what I know. And what I see with my 2 eyes is Carnell Tate has not played in 2 weeks. Jeremiah Smith looked walked very gingerly on that foot, groin, hamstring, whatever it is. And I know that Ryan Day is never honest when it comes to injuries. So I have reason to be concerned here. I think that if you can get Carnell Tate back here in the next couple weeks, or if you can get him back next week against Rutgers, you have to do it. You have to do it. You can't go into the Michigan game basically letting him take an entire month off because you can get out of football shape pretty quickly. when you take even just a week off and go back into it and start playing at a game speed again, if you've ever played football, you know it's different. You know it's hard. It's an adjustment. It takes a little bit to get back into it. And for him to take 3 games off, go into the biggest game of the season in Ann Arbor, that's not a great recipe, and I don't feel too great about that. I think that if he's not 100%, don't play him, obviously. But if he's 100%, you need to get him out there, and you need to get him back into football shape. And you can say, well, they can get him reps in practice, and they can do this, and they can do that. That is fine, and I understand that. But practice is not games. Games are different. You need to play the game so that you can get back up to speed and get back into the conditioning ability you need to be at to beat Michigan. So I think it's very important that Carnell Tate goes out and plays this coming weekend. Jeremiah Smith, on the other hand, if he needs to set out a game, that's fine. He's played every game up until this point, played a quarter and a half last night. I'm not as worried about him in the conditioning side of things. But Carnell Tate, I think that is something you don't want to roll him back out there against Ann Arbor without having any game reps since then. I don't know if this is really becoming a problem or if this is just cautious at this point. They're playing it off as being cautious. And Carnell Tate, I know he warmed up last week. Heard he was doing some things on the field before the game this week. But that still I will not feel 100% okay and confident until I see number 4 and number 17 back on the field. And this season lures over their health. If number 4 and number 17 have to miss any time, if they have to sit out at any point, especially when you get to the playoff, it's going to be pretty damn hard to repeat as national champions. I would love to beat Michigan. I want to beat Michigan as much as the next guy. But let's not get so caught up in the fact that if those guys if they're at risk of injury, I think if you're not even 100%, you got just a competitive fire within Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. I think that they'll want to play. But if they're like 75%, I don't know if you let them go out there and play. I get you've lost 4 in a row, and yes, you have to win this game. You cannot let 4 turn into 5. But you also have to understand there's a bigger picture here, and that bigger picture is winning the national championship. Let's not get this twisted here. Winning a national championship is 10 times more important than winning a regular season game. And I know that one means a lot more than all the others. It doesn't even equate to any other regular season game that you ever play in. That game is different. You can classify it as a playoff game. I get it. But at the end of the day, you don't hang banners in the shoe for beating Michigan. You hang banners in the shoe for winning national championships. And Ohio State is in a unique position where they can go back-to-back for the first time in school history. If they're close to 100%, play them against Michigan. Beat their fucking ass. If they're 70, 80%, it's not worth it. Try to see if you can figure it out with the guys you got, because you got some talent out there outside of those two. Other than that, we got to get number 4. We got to get number 17 healthy.